Have you ever really stopped to think about all the stuff you own and how it got to you from, well, everywhere else on the planet? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the massive and mostly invisible network that makes our entire modern world possible. I mean, just look at the smartphone in your hand, or maybe the coffee mug on your desk. The journey that thing took is an absolutely incredible story. It's a story of logistics, technology, and a massive system that just quietly hums along in the background of our lives. So, how on earth does it all actually work?
Well, the answer is wrapped up in a concept called the global value chain. Now, I know that sounds a little technical, but at its heart, it's just about connecting all the dots. And the engine that drives that whole process, it's transportation.
So, the global value chain is basically the whole shebang from start to finish. We're talking about mining the raw materials, shipping them to a factory that makes the parts, then shipping those parts to another factory for assembly, and then, finally, getting that finished product to a store near you. And the one thing that connects every single one of those steps? Transportation. It's the lifeblood of the whole system.
But here's the thing, it's not just about moving boxes from A to B. Good transportation actually adds value. When companies choose the right way to ship, they slash costs, they get products to you faster, and they make their business way more competitive. It frees up cash and time at every step. So if you've got something you need to move across the country or around the world, you have choices. Let's meet the 5 main characters in this global shipping story. First up, you've got trucks. They're the flexible ones, the ones that can go just about anywhere. Then there's rail, the absolute powerhouse for hauling heavy, bulky stuff over long distances. For pure speed, you have air freight. It's fast, it's reliable, but boy, is it expensive. Then you have the slow and steady workhorse, waterways. Ships carry a staggering amount of cargo for very little cost. And finally, the hidden hero, pipelines, silently moving liquids and gases all around us, 24/7. Now, every shipping decision you make involves a trade-off, and the most fundamental one is this: speed versus cost. If you need to ship high-tech electronics or life-saving medicine, you're going to fly it. It'll cost a fortune, but you get it there fast. But if you're moving, say, a mountain of grain or coal, you put it on a boat. It's the cheapest way by far, you just have to be willing to wait. And here's the other big trade-off. How much can you carry versus where can you go? A single train can haul an incredible amount of stuff. But guess what? It can only go where there are tracks. A truck can't carry nearly as much, but it's the only one that can provide that crucial last-mile delivery, right to the doorstep of the warehouse or the store. I love this quote because it really breaks down the details, even within a single mode like ocean shipping. Think of liner shipping as the city bus. It runs on a fixed route with a fixed schedule, picking up cargo from lots of different people. Tramp shipping, on the other hand, is a taxi. You hire the whole thing for one specific job, and it goes wherever you tell it to go. Okay, so you have all these different ways of moving things. But for the whole system to really work together seamlessly, to get your phone from a ship to a train to a truck, you needed one simple, revolutionary idea to tie it all together. The fancy term for this is intermodal transportation. The whole idea is to use a mix of ships, trains, and trucks in the most efficient way possible. But for decades, trying to move cargo from one to the other was just a total nightmare. It was slow, it was crazy expensive, and it took a ton of manual labor. So what was the big breakthrough? What was the one thing that finally allowed a product to move between all these different vehicles without anyone ever having to unpack it? It was this boring-looking metal box, the humble, standardized shipping container. Seriously, this is the universal adapter for global trade. You can lift it off a massive container ship, lock it onto a train car, and then slide it onto the back of a truck, and nobody ever has to open it. It made shipping faster, safer, and so much cheaper. It was a complete game changer. And if you want proof, just look at these numbers. In 1980, the world shipped about 0.1 billion tons of cargo this way. By 2020, that number had absolutely exploded to 1.85 billion tons. This one invention completely reshaped the entire global economy. And it's not just one type of box either. The system has gotten incredibly smart. You've got refrigerated containers, or reefers, for fresh food, special tank containers for liquids, and even things called garmentainers that are designed to ship clothes still hanging on racks. Whatever you want to ship, trust me, there's a specialized container for it. So when you put all of this together, all these boxes, all the ships, trains, and trucks, how does it build out into a planet-spanning network? Well, what you get is a living map of global commerce. This is the global grid. It's the planet's circulatory system. You can see the major sea lanes that are basically ocean superhighways, the railways that stitch continents together, and the bright hubs of air traffic connecting major cities. This is the physical web that our digital world is built on top of. And what's really wild is that this map is constantly changing. As the climate changes and Arctic ice melts, new shortcuts like the Northern Sea Route are opening up. This new route could cut the distance and the time between Europe and Asia by as much as 40%. We're talking about something that could fundamentally redraw the map of world trade. Okay, so this is a huge global system, but how does it actually affect a single country's economy? Let's bring this whole thing down to a real-world example to see it in action. Let's take a look at Canada. In the decade between 2002 and 2012, something really fascinating happened. The way Canada trades with the rest of the world went through a major shift. So the big question is, why? This chart tells the whole story. In just 10 years, the amount of trade Canada did by truck dropped from almost 60% down to about 48%. At the exact same time, trade by sea shot up from less than 15% to almost 25%. That is a massive change in a really short period of time. And here's why it happened. During that time, Canada's trade with the US, which is mostly done by truck, kind of flattened out, but their trade with Asia and other overseas countries, which has to go by ship, was booming. So this shift is a perfect real-world example of that bigger story, the rise of globalization and container shipping. So the takeaway here is pretty clear. A country's economic health is directly linked to how well its ports, railways, and roads are plugged into this global transportation grid. Having an efficient network isn't just a nice little bonus, it is absolutely essential for competing on the world stage. So, we've seen how this incredibly complex dance of ships, trains, and trucks brings the entire world to our doorstep. It's a system of mind-boggling efficiency and scale. Which, of course, leaves us with one last and pretty critical question. What happens when a gear in this finely tuned machine just stops working?